Correspondent banking. So the basic thing is, correspondent bank is a big bank, and it's an international bank. Generally, they are located outside the nation. Let's say in Nepal's case, they are based in USA, or they are based in, like in our case, Masrik Bank is based in UAE. Since it has but they have to have a global network. So we have a global network. That's why we have been able to carry out our correspondent banking activities for the banks in Nepal. And here I have taken example of Nepal Bank, but in general we have relationship with all the banks in Nepal, all commercial banks, including the Central Bank of Nepal, Nepal Rashtra Bank, and they have been dealing with us on a day-to-day basis for all their international banking needs. They have been approaching us. They have been routing the business through our network. Only when there is some problem or they need our help, the rep office help, they get in touch with us. So these two banks means the correspondent bank and the bank in the country local. So they get in touch with each other and they sign an agreement. Also, there are terms and conditions that they need to sign. Once the agreement is signed, then the relationship is started. Correspondent banking relationship is started. So for the banks in Nepal, we are one of the correspondent banks, and one of the correspondents in the sense, like for it depends on the currency also. For US dollar currency, we are their main correspondent. For Euro GBP also, we are their correspondent. And for INR account also, because we have a branch in Masrik, Mumbai, so we are their correspondent even for INR currency. And there are so many other currencies. This is just for an example. And similarly, there are banks like Standard Chartered Bank, Doha Bank, ICICI Bank, Commerce Bank, Habib American Bank. So they have been dealing with the banks in Nepal. In various currencies they have been dealing. So they can use their network. The banks in Nepal can use the network of their correspondent banks globally to carry out their international transactions. And this is called international banking relationship. The agreement is signed, the bilateral key are exchanged. Now they can start doing the transactions through their correspondence worldwide. So as I said earlier, there are charges, and the charges are recovered every time they carry out such transactions, and the charges are set in the beginning itself. Most of the times the charges are already stated or stipulated in the agreement itself in the beginning, and they keep revising such charges from time to time. So correspondent bank acts like an agent in conducting banking transactions. As an agent or as a mediator, they carry out the transactions on behalf of the banks as instructed. So this is the okay. So understanding correspondent banking. To understand this is already covered, I think. Yes. So activities under correspondent banking, what all can be conducted? So I have outlined some of them, but it may not be constant within these given points. It can do much more than what is given here. Fund transfers, payments, remittances. So this is what correspondent banking does. Check clearing. Check clearing is basically dollar, Euro GBP, INR, any other currencies like Qatari Riyal, Saudi Riyal, Japanese yen. So for all the checks drawn in banks in the local countries at their end, not in Nepal, they can deposit such checks to their correspondent bank's account, and the checks can be cleared on behalf of the Nepalese banks. And we have been also doing it, but only for US dollar checks. The dollar checks are drawn in banks in USA, and the party in Nepal, they deposit the checks to some local banks in Nepal, let's say Nepal Bank or Nabil Bank, Himalayan Bank, Nepal Investment. Then these banks can give the checks to us to Masrik Bank Nepal, and we process the checks on behalf of the banks. We will have to send the checks to Masrik New York. Masrik New York credits the account of the banks, Nepalese banks, and the banks over here, then they can pass it on to their customers once the credit is realized. The cash management, so I'm talking about physical currency notes. So physical currency notes, all the foreign currency, physical hard currency notes, it is collected by the Central Bank of Nepal here in Nepal. Then they can have arrangement with banks like us to process these checks, and they give us the checks and we send it to our one certain nominated branch to process the checks, and the branch they process the check and credit Rashtra Bank's account. So this is how it happens. We have not been doing this currently, but Rashtra Bank has been doing it through some other bank. So it's possible, and it is required by all the banks in foreign countries as well. So international trade transactions, this is basically for LCs and documentary collections, the settlements, that is for making the payments, and the guarantees, the issuance of guarantees. So these are all under trade finance activities the correspondent banks can carry out. And the trade related transactions, so which we have been doing for all the banks in Nepal, the settlements, the cross currency, the currency conversion. Like some banks might have to send Japanese yen payment to a party in Japan, but they don't have a Japanese yen account. So they can use Masrik New York's dollar account for the conversion and send JPY to the party in Japan. And the currency trading, NDFDs, this is a type of hedging. This is what the banks have been doing in Nepal. So for all these things, the correspondent banks have been facilitating them. So the liquidity management, the deposits, borrowing, lending, etc. If the banks in Nepal have extra money, extra funds, they can just give it to Masrik Bank or any other banks. Globally, wherever they place, they get some interest income out of such investment deposits. So they can do that, or if they want, they can just get funds back from the banks, or they can just enter into some foreign currency loans also with the correspondent banks. So investment management, the securities, hedging, derivative trading, these are all related to treasury. In fact, the custodian services, the correspondent banks can work as a custodian bank, for the banks, for their correspondent banks. So as a custodian, the correspondent banks can carry out transactions on behalf of the banks, the local banks, such as like some banks in Nepal might want to buy a bond, international banks bond, which they might not have the contacts of the international bank, but they can ask Masrik to buy it on their behalf, and they can ask Masrik to be the custodian. Masrik Bank can hold the bonds on behalf of the Nepalese banks. So this type of services is called custodian services. The representation is standing as a guarantor, issuance of guarantees on behalf of the Nepalese banks. This is what all the correspondent banks have been doing for their clients. The clients I'm saying because the banks in Nepal are our clients, or the correspondent banks parties, the involved parties can be called as clients. So correspondent banks can share knowledge, skills, and technology. This is what we've been doing. So over the years, they can request us for any sort of help, like how to set up their system, or how to set up branches, or how to set up how to do branchless banking, or online banking. And the correspondent banks are there to help them out at any time. The information sharing, it also comes under the same. They keep conducting trainings and seminars for the banks in Nepal, so they are benefiting from the correspondent banking services. Okay, so the major correspondent banks in Nepal who have been dealing with the Nepalese banks for over the years, Masrik Bank, that is where I work for, and Standard Chartered Bank. Standard Chartered Bank is UK based. Doha Bank is Qatar based. They also have a representative office in Kathmandu. ICICI Bank is an India based bank, so they also have a rep office in Kathmandu. SDFC Bank, again India based bank. Commerce Bank in Frankfurt, Germany. Habib American Bank, New York in USA is an American bank. Citibank used to have a rep office in Kathmandu, but they don't have currently. They exited long ago, in fact. So these are the some of the banks. There are so many others, but just to name a few of them. Okay, so why it is important to study correspondent banking? So this is from my one perspective. So these are the reasons. I think the importance of correspondent banking, which I have outlined over here. This is my one, and it can be many more, but this is what I have listed, and in my final paper there will be so many other things covered. So this is just for today's presentation. It plays a vital role in economic development and trade of a country for obvious reasons. It is the primary channel to deliver cross-border banking services. Yes, that's why it's called universal banking, and this is what we've been doing. And it's a strong correspondent banking network can help local banks to bridge the knowledge, technology, product, and risk management gaps. Yes, this is what I have discussed in the previous slides. Local banks can use international banks' extensive network and infrastructure that provides competitive advantages. Yes, obviously, because the banks in Nepal, they are benefiting. They can select their own banks one way. The preference goes to them. They can choose on their own. There is no pressure. They can deal with us or they can deal with some other correspondent banks. It's up to them. It depends on their comfort. So it's cheaper and cost effective, cheaper than having the bank's one branch. Yes, investment is not required here. It's quite cheap. In fact, if the banks in Nepal have to open any branch in foreign countries, it will be quite costlier. First of all, there will be some capital requirement. They will have to go through so many other formalities. The central bank's permission from the local government. So many things they will have to fulfill. But here, having a relationship with the correspondent bank, doesn't cost them at all. So it's cheaper and very effective as well. It's risk-free and flexible. Can switch to other correspondent banks easily. Yes, as I said earlier, they can choose on their own. It depends on their preference. It helps to promote local banks in global market. Yes, because the local banks are listed in their correspondent bank's website also as their partner in that country. In Nepal countries, the Nepalese banks are listed in our list globally. They have been dealing with us. In many a times they require some recommendation also from us. They want us to issue some recommendation letters if they have to do any business with some big business houses abroad. They require, and then we issue letters, recommendation letters on behalf of the Nepalese banks, stating that we have been dealing with this bank for so many years and all their dealings have been satisfactory till date. It will help, in fact, in building up at both ends. Here also they can get more business, and there also we have been doing it for their needs. It's risk-free and flexible. Yes, it helps to promote local banks in global market. Yes, obviously I have already said, I have already covered this. In fact, it is one-point solution provider for the local banks, since the correspondent banks provide a complete package of international banking services to cater their needs. Yes, so the banks in Nepal, they don't have to write to our New York or UK or Hong Kong or India branches directly. They can just give us a call or write an email to us, and we can do the needful for them. So the objective. So this is the main part why this subject is chosen, and this is my objective is the history of correspondent banking in global arena, to find out the history. So about the correspondent banking, the principles and practices of correspondent banking. So obviously the correspondent banking history in Nepalese banking sector. Actually, I was just going through the papers, and even the central bank website and all the banks' websites, and the history of Nepal's banking system. And I found that this is being done for the first time. So I'm going to do it for the first time. Nobody else has ever taken this subject for doing their PhD degree. Um, okay, so how correspondent banking relationships have helped the Nepalese banking industry? Yes, obviously it will be covered. So how correspondent banking relationships of Nepalese banks have helped to international trade and payment system in Nepal? The expectations of local banks from the correspondent banks, yes, so it will be covered. So to review the available research literatures in the subject elsewhere and expand research findings in the Nepalese context, yes, obviously this is what I am going to do, to find new knowledge in Nepalese context and to make available to the interests of the parties, uh, to the interested parties, local and abroad, for a better understanding of correspondent banking. Yes, so these are the things why I have taken up this subject. This is something unique since this is being done for the first time, although it needs a lot of homework, and I'll have to contact so many banks, including the central bank also, because Nepal being relatively conservative, I may not be able to find much information on the central bank's website or elsewhere, like even in the respective bank's websites. So I'll have to do a lot of work, hard work for this, which I'm going to do. Yeah, so for now, this is what I have prepared. So thank you. Thank you for listening to me.